Hello and welcome to Dreams of Wings, and welcome here to beautiful Salzburg in Austria. Cracking place to take a flight from. As well, the Red Bull Flying Bulls know they're based here in those iconic hangars just over to the left there. We're going to be taking a flight in this, the brand new Big Radials Noordugn Norseman. I understand that's how it's pronounced, but I'm more than happy to be corrected. This is a gorgeous aeroplane that they brought to life in the sim. Not very fast, but certainly very rugged, very capable. A great bush flyer, was used extensively in World War II. It was built between 1935 and 1959 and also heavily used in Canada as well. Just perfect for that kind of terrain, for getting people and cargo around. And it looks the part, doesn't it? This is an aeroplane that says, just get me there. I'm happy to go wherever you want me to go. And I'm really pleased to say that on this flight, we have a difference as well, because we're going to be joined by another Norseman. And this is a very special Norseman because it's actually an aircraft that exists in real life. And the guy that's flying it, who's Stunt, who's from the Dreams of Wings Discord community, he actually works for the Norwegian Spitfire Foundation, and this is actually an aircraft that belongs to them. In fact, it was the first warbird that he flew in for them. He's their video producer. So it's an aircraft that means a lot to him, and it's wonderful to see him actually flying it in the sim. He's also a very experienced sim pilot, and he knows what he's doing, as you will see from this video. So without further ado, let's take to the skies and let's just have a beautiful flight. Right, here we go. And we have this beautifully vintage cockpit here. As you can see, very much of its era. Not a bit of modern avionics in sight at all. Or are there? If we put the battery on and then we go to the secret sandwich holder up here, it actually turns out to be a Garmin unit, which is kind of a cool feature. If you like flying with modern avionics, then you've got the opportunity to do that through this unit here. But we're going to keep that hidden for this flight. And also down here, I'll talk a little bit more about this when we're in the air. We have our little cathode ray tube, which is very fallout. And you've got various different things. I'll talk a bit more about that in the air, but at the moment, I just want to check our status. We can see that the pilot door is open. We can change our payload type here. We should have barrels loaded we've got some barrels on board. So that's quite nice to be able to change that and also put covers on and that kind of thing. At the moment, everything's looking fine. So we can leave that as it is. Okay, let's put you away. Right, let's go for a start now. So let's have a quick look. So we want the throttle cracked. We want mixture fully rich. The prop at the moment stays in the low position, which is unusual for a modern aircraft, but this is a good old big radial aircraft, so we're going to leave that where it is at the moment. Right, let's pump up some fuel pressure. And we're looking over here at this instrument. There we go. We'll give her 10 squirts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Give it another couple of these just for luck. Now, quick flick to engage and then energize. Getting my click spots right there. And engage. Good start. Prop fully forward. There we go. Everything's looking nice. Now we need to just warm her up below 1000 RPM. Our T's and P's are looking good. We've got oil pressure, we've got fuel pressure. Interesting there that I was messing about with the fuel before. The fuel looks awful low But I wonder if that's to do with the angle that we're at. Let's just have a quick look. Quickly call the... yeah, let's just put a little bit more in. Yeah, okay, that's not changing. Right. Everything else is looking good. Happy with that. Quick check of where we are. Okay, so the elevated trim is neutral. I am going to put in a little bit of right rudder. It's an interesting aeroplane to take off this and land also, which I'll talk a bit more about in the air. But yeah. Right, let's get going. One of the other things I found with this is that if you use the landing pilot view, it really does help an awful lot. Learned that through experimentation yesterday. Let's bring around. Yeah, forward visibility in this type of aeroplane isn't the best. Right, so we're on a group multiplayer flight here, so I know there isn't going to be anyone else around. And just bring around and gentle stop. Right, okay, so quick check down here, Peter heat on, landing lights on. Don't need to worry about any of those. We need to extend the landing light. That's good. That's good. That's all on. Okay, happy with that. Right, now I need to concentrate on taking off in a not too disastrous way. Let's see if we can accomplish that. Hey. There's the nose swing. It tends to swing to the right all of a sudden. Really do have to keep an eye on the rudder. There we go. It's nice and stable now. Not using any flap because we've got a nice long runway. Come back on the RPM a little bit. Right, so let's now bring the manifold pressure back down to 29, and we're going to bring the RPM back a little bit as well. Nice gentle flight. Really is gorgeous scenery around here. Look at that little castle in the lake there. So just going out to waypoint Sierra. I'm just going to throttle back a little bit to let stunt catch up. And we can now retract the landing lights. Oh, you do not want your head tracking to stick when you got your head down like that. That's a slightly unnerving situation to be in. Okay, that's all that set up. Isn't that just absolutely gorgeous over there? Right, that's the, so you see what I mean, that's the, for my setup anyway, that is my default pilot view, and trying to land with that was quite difficult, so I've started, and it's the first time I've really had to use a landing view in Microsoft Flight Simulator. That makes life a whole lot easier for sure. I've no idea what a real life Norseman pilot would see, whether he'd see that or something in between, but yeah, I had an interesting yesterday, look at that, wow, yesterday I did this flight, tried to do the video, had a few technical issues, had a disastrous landing session at Zell MC, and after doing some touch and goes at Duxford without any issue, Zell MC was a completely different scenario. Much smaller runway, shorter runway with obstacles around there, and that was quite a challenge. So I spent a lot of time yesterday afterwards, especially after the co-pilot Cat. If you follow the Instagram, you'll know who co-pilot Cat is. After co-pilot Cat decided to walk all over the keyboard just as I was trying to do a final approach, I thought, right, let's stop this now, and I will go away and do some landing practice. So I just experimented with some different things, and got to a point, especially using that landing view, where life was certainly a lot easier. So hopefully today the landing will be a bit better than the first one I had yesterday, well, the first two I had yesterday, but I'm not making any promises. And hey, it's entertaining for you when it goes wrong, isn't it? You know that. You love to put in the comments, oh, you should have done this or you should have done that. So it's cool. We're all happy. Follow the channel, you will know this, but flying these old vintage aircraft in scenery like this, really, it just doesn't get much better. We did a fantastic route flight here some time ago, where we were flying, I want to say it was Corsairs, and there was some Spitfires and a couple of, I think there was even a couple of Mustangs as well. And it is just gorgeous to fly through, it really is. I could quite happily do this thing all the time. So we just do our left turn here. This is taking us off the route that we did for the group flight, but just looping us around a bit more of this beautiful terrain. See what I mean about visibility? Trying to land with that big nose up ahead is not easy. Quick check over here, T's and P's, everything's looking fine. Interesting, the fuel is still reading very low, considering that we have actually loaded up with fuel. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Right, this is a good example now. If I switch to that view, you see how instantly you've got so much better situational awareness. I've never really played with these views before because I kind of thought, well, I want it, because I've got head tracking, I want it to be as realistic as possible rather than changing a fixed position in the cockpit, but with this one it very much helps. Okay, now we're going to do a tight turn over here, because I was just messing about doing screenshots, and come over this ridge. And at this point, Stunt is probably thinking, what the hell is he doing? But that's what happens when you get distracted doing screenshots and things like that. Okay, look at that. Just stunning. You imagine living there with that view. My lord, so beautiful. So this is coming up on, what's that, Voglau. Apologies for any pronunciation in this video that is wrong. Again, if you're a follower of the channel, you'll know that I like to fly in different parts of the world, and sometimes I get the pronunciation wrong. Let's lean the engine a little bit. We are quite high here. So, a good opportunity to say we have a Discord. Come and say hello. We have group flights every now and again. People can post screenshots, talk about aviation. Really great bunch of people there. A lot of very knowledgeable people. We're very fortunate also to have people like Stunt who have connections with real-world aviation and the real-world warbird community. Really nice bunch of people, and well worth coming along. I think the Discord originally was, I just kind of set it up really just to support the channel, but it's grown into something a lot more than that now. And it is just really a bunch of propeller heads who love real-world aviation and also love flight simming. So, yeah, join up, come along and say hi. Formation flying being demonstrated there by Stunt, I have to say. He certainly flies formation a damn sight better than I do. There's a real skill to doing that, as I'm sure you know. Doing it well, doing it that close. Having that kind of almost direct connection to the throttle, where you're instinctively making tiny corrections just to keep in position, as well as what you're doing on the yoke or the control stick. Need to keep below the cloud base a little bit there, so we'll descend a tad. Spool really has done a fantastic job with that repaint. I'm not sure where it's going to be, or if it's going to be publicly posted, but if it is, and when it is, I'll put a link in the video down below. But yeah, Norwegian Spitfire Foundation have some really nice looking aeroplanes, and Spool has really done a nice job with that. And it must be fantastic for Stunt to be able to fly an aircraft that he has a connection with. I think that makes a big difference as well. It's kind of similar for me flying Spitfires.com Gilder in, albeit in the single seat Mark 9 version. It's always special when you've got an aircraft you have a connection to. Spool has also done the Spitfire as well. PL258, he's done a really nice repaint for that, which I'm pretty sure is available on flightsim.to. Okay, just playing with the trim a little bit there. Just do a gentle right turn now. Guessing those two parallel lines up there must be cable cars, although I have noticed sometimes you get some odd kind of baked in scenery, so it could be power lines that are baked in from the photo scenery maybe. So what we're going to do here is just tootle over this slightly raised, it's not really a plateau, but it's certainly flatter than them big bumpy bits up there, because we're going to have a look at Berg Hohenwerfen, which is a really nicely modelled castle. Love this scenery. That bridge. So you can just see over there in the distance. So this was built between 1846 and 1867, and it does look rather splendid, that's for sure. So we'll come round and we will try not to bump into Stunt, but we'll just have a look overhead. I'm going to change the view now so we can get a better look out the side window. Look at that. Stunning. Really nicely modelled. Make sure I know where we're going. Very realistic that, isn't it? Okay. Back down the valley. We can go a little bit lower now. and on our way to Zell MC. It's one of the great things about this sim is that you can just pick an area to go to and you know, to see what's going on, see a lot more of the world than you could do before in a simulator without having a whole ton of add-ons put into it, and that is rather marvellous. I think it's always interesting in terms of immersion when you do a flight like this and you kind of forget the fact that you're sitting in a spare bedroom or a room in your house or flat, and you know, the weather could be completely different outside in the real world to what it is in the sim, but you're so engrossed in what you're doing that you kind of forget. I love that. Let's just change the view again to that landing view, and then we get a much better look outside, because that's really what we want to see. Stunning. Not using real world weather. Real world weather is pretty awful right now, so it wouldn't make for much of a sightseeing video. We want to have a look at the scenery rather than, well, I was going to say rather than try and fumble away around mountains with low cloud and poor visibility, but that might be a bit more entertaining for you, I don't know. Certainly be entertaining for me, that's for sure. For me, that's the next stage with this, really. Once I feel more comfortable with my ability to land the aeroplane in normal circumstances, to start doing some crosswind landings. Tail draggers are always, as you will no doubt know, very exciting for doing crosswind landing. Having done some hours on the T6, the A2A 26 T6 in P3D, that's a really good way to learn crosswind landings in a tail dragger. Of course, with Microsoft Flight Simulator, we've got some odd physics to contend with, and in many ways Microsoft Flight Simulator might not be as realistic, but it can be harder to fly, and in a funny kind of way, that's not a bad thing from the point of view of skills. Strangely now, whenever I get back into the A2A aircraft, which are widely considered to be extremely realistic, I often find that, yeah, I find them easier to fly after having to contend with some of this weird Microsoft Flight Simulator physics. Right, we'll just change the tank. I always go the wrong way. There we go. Just change the tank to balance the mouse a bit. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, and anybody who flies these aeroplanes on an Xbox with an Xbox controller, you have my absolute respect. I don't know how you do it. Really don't know how you do it. I'm sitting here with a very expensive Fulcrum 1 yoke, and that gives me the advantage of that additional control. Doing it on an Xbox controller, I think, well, that's developing some skills. But then I've always been pretty hopeless with Xbox controllers when my kids were using their Xbox to play things like first-person shooters and that sort of thing. I just can't get into it. I'm still a keyboard and mouse kind of guy. I'm old. But anyway, enough about that. So I can recommend this route if you've never flown it. I know a lot of people probably have, but if you haven't, well worth a look. Some great scenery, and you can do it in a variety of aircraft. You can get down low and fast if you want to, or if you're in something bigger and heavier, you can tootle along at a slightly higher altitude. Let's get that landing view back again. There we go. Beautiful. And what I'm going to try and do when we get a bit closer is try and get a bit more set up for the landing. You have to make sure you don't come in too fast in this, otherwise you will bounce. Just going to come around over here a bit just so we can have a look at this section here. There's a really nice bridge. A whole network of bridges here actually. But yeah, quite incredible. Also need to be careful of the cables. I've got that pylon add-on from flightsim.to, and I honestly can't remember what was in here by default, but you certainly do have to keep your eye open for, you can just see, I don't know if you can see in the video, there's some cable just running across the valley there. And there's some more, just hop over them. Let's have a quick look at the okay, just wanted to check where my trim position was. Being very gentle with the engine. I don't think engine damage is modelled in this, I might be wrong, but nonetheless just being a little bit careful with it. If I can, yeah, there he is. See Stunt through the window there. Fantastic. It's always a bit tricky when you've got someone flying formation on you. The idea is that you're meant to be flying a nice stable profile, and as soon as you start looking around and taking screenshots and looking at them is when you start flapping around the sky, and they're like, for crying out loud, will you just stay still? So, right, we are not a million miles away now. We're coming up on it, so we're going to lose some height. There's the kind of plateau there, just ahead. Plateau, flat valley bottom is probably a bit more realistic. So, having a look at my speed, just starting to descend a bit. Try and get a good view from over this side to start off with. I'm going to be taking 08. So actually I think what we'll do is I will quickly overfly and then we'll come round, we'll do a bit of a circuit, and then we'll do the approach. Just so we can have a look. This is the Orbx Zell MC, really nicely modelled. It's funny, when I was doing some practice here yesterday, I noticed a vehicle towing in an auto gyro into a hangar, and I'd never noticed that before. Nice little detail. It's always nice when you see that kind of life down on the airports. There's just beautiful, beautiful scenery. It's a shame we're about to rip it all up with some pretty shoddy landings. Well, Stunt will probably grease it in. He's a good pilot. I'm still learning the ropes with this one. Just check where he is. I think he's moved off now. Okay, so I'm just going to bring it over the top here. And then we'll just have a wee look. Lovely lake over there. How good is this scenery? So that's our runway. It's not very long, and it's quite narrow as well. So it's really interesting. In fact, when I was doing the circuits and bumps yesterday, I actually quite liked using this because you know, it is such a tight runway that it's a good way to learn. Now, just looking at the windsock there, I can see, okay, yeah, that's definitely going to be 08. There shouldn't really be much of a wind, but we'll have a look. So I was practicing on the other runway mainly yesterday, so this is going to be interesting. I was expecting the windsock to just be round the other way, but not to worry. That means the runway is going to be on that side, which means the visibility is going to be even worse. I'm just going to have a quick check to see. Oh wow, look at that. Look at that, beautiful. Stunt really will be wondering what the hell I'm doing right now. Okay, so let's have the prop fully forward now. Start bringing around, just watching the speed. I've got a feeling that this is probably not going to be a great idea doing this approach, if I'm completely honest. Doesn't feel awfully well set up on my part. Let's see how the runway's looking. Okay, so what I am going to do is come around here, start losing some speed. We're below 120, so we can give it one notch of flap. We're quite high. I may do a go around. We'll see how it feels. I'm just going to keep the runway as much on the left as I can, but we're drifting to the right, which is not good. Drifting again. Bit to the right. Pulling back. Oh, we're down. There we go. Level up, brakes on, fall back on the yoke. Whew. And we're in. Very, very interesting. Aeroplane to land this. Let's get off the runway quick so we don't get in Stunt's way.
Wind from the left. I'll do an overhead join. Well done, sir. Now it's my turn. Okay, on the carriage check, brakes are off. Mixture full rich, prop 2000. Flaps coming up. Set approach speed 90 miles. Full flaps. Props full forward. Get the tail down, start braking. Oh, I'm gonna run out of runway here. Oh, just barely. Poor brakes, sorry brakes. Gotta let you cool now.
There we go. Let's get that parking brake on. Let's close down the engine. Absolutely beautiful. And there we have the snowplow desperately trying to get into shot. A snowplow that obviously wants to be a Norseman, but never quite made it. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. That was certainly good fun for me, and big thanks to Stunt for coming along and providing some really, really nice formation flying there, which made some excellent footage. And great to see his livery there. Does look fantastic. So, thanks for coming along, and I look forward to seeing you on the channel again soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.